So before the Pequot War and the Mystic Massacre in 1636, when he was under suspicion, Miantonomo, when you say the name of the dead to the earth, they are still alive. So Miantonomo, he's the chief of the Narragasetts. He went to Boston to prove his loyalty to the colonists. In the following year, during the Pequot War, Miantonomo permitted John Mason to lead his Connecticut expedition against the Pequot Indians through Narragansett country. And the Pequot were defeated in this war, nearly exterminated and wiped out. But Miantonomo was an Uncle Tom. He had aligned himself with the Connecticut and Plymouth and Massachusetts Bay Colony. In 1638, after the Mystic Massacre, after the Pequot War, Miantonomo signed for the Narragansett the tripartite treaty between that tribe, the Narragansett, the Connecticut colonists, and the Mohegan Indians, and that treaty provided for a perpetual peace between the parties. Miantonomo was given control over 80 of the 200 Pequot. However, conflict continued with the Mohegans over control of the Pequot people and land. After the destruction of the Pequot nation, the Narragassetts became emboldened and thought to extend their borders into the previous domain of their neighbors. Sachem Miantonomo, with permission from the Connecticut Colony, led a force of 500 to 600 warriors against Uncas and the Mohegans. In the summer of 1643, the Mohegans and the Narragassetts met on the Great Plain. Uncas had perhaps half as many warriors as the Narragassetts, and Miantonomo had. Uncas sent forward a messenger, desiring a parley with Miantonomo, which was granted, and the two chiefs met on the plain between their respective armies. Uncas then proposed that the fortunes of the day should be decided by themselves in a single combat, and the lives of their warriors spared. His proposition was thus expressed: let us too fight it out, just Miantonomo and Uncas. If you kill me, my men shall be yours, but if I kill you, then your men shall be mine. Miantonomo, who seemed to have suspected some crafty maneuver in this unusual proposition, replied disdainfully. Miantonomo said, my men came to fight, and they shall fight. Uncas immediately gave a preconcerted signal to his followers by falling flat upon his face to the ground. They, being all prepared with bent bows, instantly discharged a shower of arrows upon the enemy, and raising the battle yell, rushed forward with their tomahawks, their chieftain starting up and leading the onset. The Narragassetts, who were carelessly awaiting the result of the conference and not expecting that the Mohegans would venture to fight at all with such inferior force, were taken by surprise, and after a short and confused attempt at resistance, they were put to flight. The battle lasted but a moment, and Miantonomo, deserted by his people and overweighted by an English corselet, was caught after a long chase by Uncas and one of his sachems. Miantonomo suggested an alliance against the English to the sachem of the Mohegans, Uncas, but instead Uncas turned him over to the Connecticut authorities at Hartford for trial. Miantonomo was tried in Boston by the commissioners of the United Colonies of New England. A committee of 5 clergymen to whom his case was referred found him guilty. Although Miantonomo had made war with their consent, the United Colonies of New England, they advised that he should be killed, and gave Uncas authority to kill him outside of the Commonwealth's jurisdiction. The Narragansett chief was delivered to the custody of Uncas when the Mohegans had reached the scene of the battle in Norwich. Uncas gave a signal to his brother, Wawequa, whose place was just behind the captive. Wawequa at once sank his hatchet into Miantonomo's brain, killing him instantly. At the start of King Philip's War, Uncas was too old to take part, but his own son, Owaniko, with several hundred Mohegans, rendered valuable assistance to the colonists in their fight against other Indians. So again, Uncas was there at the Pequot War. The Narragassetts were there too. So this is Miantonomo eventually being turned on, or being turned against the Connecticut colonists, at one point Miantonomo was their ally, and now the Connecticut colonist was getting Uncas to kill Miantonomo. So Uncas fought against the Pequot, then he fought against the Narragasetts. And Uncas has been winning, but since he allied himself with the colonists, he's an Uncle Tom. The first of the Mohegans was an Uncle Tom, and very much so, I would say a lot of blame for the destruction of the Pequot and the destruction of the Narragassetts was because of Uncas. Sure, it's the colonists, Connecticut, Massachusetts Bay, Plymouth colony that had did the deed, but divide and conquer wouldn't work without Uncle Toms such as Uncas. So, at our womanhood, Joshua, another son with a band of 30 Indians, scoured the woods in the route of the retreating foe and took active part in the conflict of King Philip's War, which was against Metacomet, the Wampanoags, the Pequots. So today, John Mason, John Mason, the leader of the Mystic Massacre against the sleeping Pequot elderly women and children, one of the original founders of Norwich, referred to Uncas as a great friend who did us much service. He's an Uncle Tom, and Uncas didn't have to fight against all these other Native Americans, killed all the Pequot, was there at the Pequot War, Mystic Massacre, and then he went after the Narragassetts. Today there's a monument to Miantonomo in the Satcham's Park, Norwich, Connecticut. Miantonomo Memorial Park in Newport, Rhode Island also exists.